social media and social networking tools in transportation. We've got Pauletta, Jody, and Jim. Social networking, how is RTD involved?
We have several videos that are posted on YouTube, and those have gotten a fair amount of hits. We plan on continuing to use that social networking tool.
Jim, what's BART doing with social media these days?
BART uses streaming video, opt-in email accounts, Twitter, and Facebook to communicate directly with the public. With our streaming media, with BART TV News, we're able to post on our website our chief spokesman's news conferences every day. That's a very powerful tool for the public. They can find out, without the filter of the media, what's going on from the management perspective.
So Jody, I understand you're one of the first practitioners to use Facebook for an EIS.
Yeah, we had some consultants on the team as a part of the outreach team who are younger than I am, who suggested that this was a good tool for interacting with the 20-somethings and 30-somethings. So it's very interactive, number one. Number two, with all due respect to my colleagues who maintain our webpage, it's much more flexible because I can get in and update news and post changes there. I can do stuff on a daily or a weekly basis rather than having to prepare content and send it over to our web people. So,
Pauletta, what are your experiences with sharing information?
As we look to utilizing other social networking tools, the challenge is how do you do that in what is deemed as an appropriate way for a public sector entity?
We have very clear and direct guidelines for comments on our Twitter and Facebook platforms.
One of the pitfalls is that people can always hide behind a username. You never know who the people are. There are people who even set up various accounts, and you've got one person that's using many different usernames and are posting many different things. And so it might look on the front end that this is many people who feel this way, but it could be one person.
How do you handle the inappropriate input or maybe sensitive communications in this sort of open format?
it was something I was very concerned about when we started, and so we actually did write some protocols where we said if anybody used inappropriate language, we would just take the comments down.
Certainly we're able to address inappropriate comments if they involve profane language or inflammatory statements.
I think in the year and a half plus or so we've been doing this, there's maybe been a handful of comments we've had to take down, and it wasn't because they were inappropriate in the way you're thinking about it. It was because there was, maybe a spam message that got posted or a marketing thing, and I just took them down. But there hasn't been many, so we've been fortunate, but it is something we watch out for.
You really have to be out there in the social networking realm, because if we're not out there proactively giving our own information, other people will be out there giving our information, and a lot of the times it isn't correct.
So Jim, what were some of the challenges that BART's had in the development of your social media tools?
Well, the challenges are many, and they include institutional resistance, funding challenges, of course, and even learning new technologies. In terms of institutional resistance, our leadership has been open-minded and been willing to endure some criticism online, but it's still a hard sell to some segments of the transit properties.
One of the biggest for us is staff resources, because not only developing the Facebook page, but in doing the regular maintenance of the page was something that we had to be real about and what it was going to take in terms of a staff time.
So Jody, tell me about the costs you've incurred using Facebook.
Low cost. The labor is my time, and our consultants who support the outreach for this project, they've built it into what they do. It's just part of the routine, so it's very low cost. And obviously, Facebook doesn't charge us for using their product.
In terms of the financial challenges, one of the things that we did is scale back a lot on the traditional media. Things like passenger bulletins that we would print, riders, letters to the rider. We scaled back that kind of spending and shifted the funds instead to social media and to streaming media.
So Jody, can you tell me about some of the challenges that you faced trying to do a Facebook site for an environmental impact statement?
I mean, they're not major. Let me be clear about that. It becomes something else that I have to monitor. And two, I need to keep fresh. When we have a lot of things happening, I really try and update the news there on a regular basis. And when we're in a period of the study where we're not out in the public a lot, I try and keep it fresh anyway.
Anyone want to comment on Twitter?
We want to serve the public that rides our system, and many of them are they're early adopters, are using these technologies. After all, Twitter was founded in San Francisco.
For us to just get general information out, I'm not sure Twitter is the most usable tool for us, but that could change.
So Jim, you're in San Francisco. That's a high-tech community, and what you're doing there is very different. Do you think people in other communities would have a similar kind of experience with social media?
San Francisco, I think, is now where maybe the rest of the country will be in just a few years. You know, I think this is something that is going to be widespread. So while we may be ahead of the curve, I don't think we're riding a flash in the pan here.
So Jim, when you look at the costs, you know, the money you spend on social media, has it really produced the results that you want?
You know, there's never going to be as much money as you want, so you have to be creative and shift the funds around a little bit. But in the end, we feel it's more environmentally friendly and that we are positioning ourselves for the future.
Pauletta, what advice do you have for other practitioners?
So it's very important, I think, that you disclose what your guidelines and your policies are on that social networking tool so that people know that up front.
Social media is here to stay, and the sooner you can determine whether you want to use these powerful tools, the better, because they are powerful. Second is not to be afraid to make mistakes, to skin your knees a little bit. This is not something that has been fully tested. There's going to be some setbacks, some things you didn't expect, but I think in the end, whatever falls you have will be more than compensated by the gains that you'll get.
And keep it fresh. I mean, just like a website, if you put something up there and you don't come back and change it for 6 months, there's kind of no point to it. So it's a particular kind of medium. It is intended to be interactive. So as the owner of this, whoever you are, you really need to use it in that way.
Thanks for all those thoughts, guys. I got to run and catch a bus.